So what's up, YouTube? In this video, I interview my client, Alex. She's out in San Francisco, California. She has the most amazing cause. She's passionate about handicap accessible vacation rentals. She literally just launched her Airbnb a few months ago and is already one of the guest favorites and top Airbnbs in the area. Let's get into it. Alex, welcome to the channel.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You've been a great mentor.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure working with you. I mean, you literally just followed the steps, like step by step, and, launched your property last year and just had amazing results since then. So cool, man. We just wanted to literally just keep the conversation super chill. So if you could tell the audience, who you are and what you do and actually what inspired you to get into the Airbnb space.
Yeah. So I'm Alex. I am a part-time real estate investor. My full-time job is as an accessibility designer on Android at Google. And then I'm also able to take my passion for accessibility into the real estate space as a builder for accessible vacation rentals. So my mission is to create more accessible vacation rentals for individuals with disabilities or families with those with disabilities or even like aging parents to have a place to stay that is safe, comfortable, and super fun, especially around national parks, so that everyone can create memories together and not have separate hotel rooms. So it's been really fun so far. I launched the Airbnb in November, so on Thanksgiving Day, to a family, and they were looking specifically for a place to stay for their aging father-in-law, and they loved it. Like, I didn't put all the amenities in it right away on day one because I learned that progress is better than perfection, but we have time to perfect over the course of the listing, getting better and better. And so I launched it, and ever since then I've been getting, I think I have 10 stays so far and all 5-star reviews.
Oh, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's super cool. Yeah, 100%. So I remember the process. I remember we were actually looking at, different markets, right? We knew you had a passion for accessibility. We know you had a passion for hiking in the outdoors, developed the, guest avatar and property avatar early on in the process. And I think you narrowed down. So I think we were looking at Branson, Missouri, and Yosemite, California, which is out by you. So congrats. And you ran with Yosemite, and amazing property. Work with some,
Thank you.
Did a beautiful job. So
yeah. And then just after launching, I remember working with you and being like, oh my gosh, okay, I launched it, but there's so much more to learn.
Right.
Like pricing. Oh my goodness, that was such a science. So you just breaking everything down on the dashboard side with Price Labs was so helpful because I don't know how I would have learned any other way. I would have had to just fudge the numbers probably for months to try to figure out what I'm actually looking for.
100%. And a lot of operators that think that they're going to get into this and, day one it's going to be booked up, 100% calendar's going to be filled and you can just do Airbnb smart pricing. And that's not true. Maybe, 8 years ago, 9 years ago, but it's, the landscape has changed in the industry. So you definitely need a solid pricing strategy. So let's even rewind before then. So I guess what was your biggest challenge, before working with us, launching the STR? Cause you already owned a few properties, right? In Vegas.
Yeah, I have 2 long-term rentals in Vegas. Ideally, I could have started a short-term rental in Las Vegas too, because it was a familiar market. And there's still a lot of cool things to see around Vegas. But seeing as there's a lot of regulation there, I really didn't know how to start. Like, it was a whole new market that I had to look for. I didn't understand exactly how to navigate, what a deal was, how to think about the guest experience. Like, being a user experience designer, I understand the principles of it, but it's always been in the digital world.
Right.
And I studied spatial design in college, so I was interested and passionate about creating an experience for a guest, but I just had no idea where to start. So starting to work with you really, 1, gave me the accountability, and 2, gave me the tools I needed to actually move forward and get started.
Yeah, no, for sure. We literally, from the beginning, we took it step by step, got the company set up, and filing up in Wyoming, right? Like the tax benefit and things like that. And you too, like, I mean, you did a great job. The cool thing with your process was that you were traveling during the same process, right? And you were actually staying in Airbnbs. So whether it be, I think, what, Mexico City and a couple other places. So speaking to that guest experience part, like you saw it like firsthand, you know, when you would show up at a property, if it wasn't stocked up or if it was a great location, hosted great or whatnot. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, honestly, okay, before I thought about being a host, I had always thought about Airbnbs and how amazing they were, and I really wanted to work for Airbnb. Like, they're in San Francisco. I'm in San Francisco. Yeah. That was like, oh, that's my dream company. I want to work there. And every office is based on a listing that is high performing. And I'm like, that would be amazing to just like walk through every single door and it's like a curated experience. Yeah. So I understood the value of it. But thinking from the experience of a host or perspective of a host and as a business owner, it was so different. And I really realized like, oh yeah, 5 stars really means something to hosts, and the livelihoods that are built upon this platform around this industry, and how much, you know, someone could put minimal effort in and not do well, and someone could put a lot of effort in and like it'll pay off, right? I think you can definitely over invest, but those who are under investing are not making it anymore. So it's also like a very different environment.
Right.
But just seeing through the lens of, I remember my host in Mexico City didn't give us enough toilet paper for, what is it, like 6 people in one house.
Yeah.
I think we only had 4 rolls for 2 weeks. And I was like, yeah, this isn't going to last. We need it. Yeah. But I was really understanding with the owner, being like, you know, this is what we need. Oh, there's ants now. Like, this is what we need. So, like, things went wrong. Yeah. But I understood, like, it was more important how the host resolved the issue rather than the issue itself, because sometimes you just can't avoid those things happening.
Right. Exactly. And that's what I always, you know, like pretty much preach to is like the communication. Like, it has to be there and it has to be quick. Right. Because if somebody's staying at a hotel, you know, they have a concierge downstairs that they can call and, you know, it's delivered right up to the room. Yeah. Right? So with Airbnb, if there's nobody on site, you know, if you're running it remotely as a remote investor, you definitely have to have the communication, right? So send up all the automated messaging, and then you kind of handle the one-offs, and then having a VA to kind of step in to handle any, like, you know, the 10% that require response. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have an example. So I was in Japan for work, and that was the very first time that I was out of the country running my Airbnb. Yep. And so not only was I on like opposite time zone, but I was also there for like my other work. Yeah. So I didn't have a lot of time or capacity to do things like manage the Airbnb, but I did have a guest staying over. And unfortunately, the water heater or like we basically ran out of propane gas. And so there was no hot water for the guest. Oh, wow. And at first when she had checked in, she's like, oh, I don't know, like maybe we're not using the hot water heater right, or maybe accidentally turned off the pilot, but we can't get any hot water. And the pilot keeps turning off. And I was like, that's strange. Like, that never happens. Please don't touch the pilot light. Like, I don't want you messing with the water heater. Right. Let me call my handyman. He'll go over there and try to figure it out. But for tonight, since it's already midnight, like, let's just hold tight, and I'll get someone there right in the morning. And so I was able to get someone there, which was really great because I had developed relationships with people in Oakhurst because I was going there so often to set up the property. So that's where like the not being remote helped me. But I'm sure like I could have called like my cleaner or someone, find someone to stop by. So I just remember it was like super early in the morning in Japan. I'm trying to make these calls to the handyman and then text my tenant and try to figure out like what's going on. I need to get them hot water. They're not going to give me 5 stars. I'm freaking out. And then I'm like talking to the handyman, like what? Like they keep messing with it. He's like, okay, I'll come by again. So he stopped by at least 2 to 3 times. Finally, on the 3rd time, we realized, oh, there's no gas. So it was totally like, we didn't even think to check the gas tank. Like, it was on another side of the property. And there wasn't really anything I could do to make it better. Like, I couldn't get gas immediately and give them hot water. So unfortunately, they had their entire stay without hot water. And it was really cold. And I was so worried that she wasn't going to give me 5 stars. So I messaged her and I was like, I'm really sorry. Like, I was just trying to be as communicative as possible and try to show her, like, I did my best effort in trying to remedy the issue. And unfortunately, we didn't get to a solution by the time she left, but she was very understanding and she still left me 5 stars, which I'm like, oh my gosh, can I like hug you? This is amazing. Like, I was so scared. Yeah. Unfortunately, I had to like cancel the reservation that I had the following week.
Okay.
And that sucked because the group was so excited to go to Yosemite and go see Firefall, and they had planned it. And I said, I just don't have hot water. So if that's important to you, I wouldn't feel good about hosting you without something so basic as hot water.
Right.
And I'm like, no, I totally get it. But maybe like you can get the gas there earlier and maybe it can all work out with the timing. And I was like, that's optimistic, but realistically, I just don't feel good about hosting you and not being able to give you something basic like that.
Right.
And they were like, they kept pushing back. They're like, no, but we love your property. Like, we just really want to stay in your property. And I was like, well, okay, fine. You can stay in the property, but you won't have hot water.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, never mind. We'll just cancel it. And I was like, okay, if you ever want to stay again, just let me know and maybe we can figure out like a discount or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it happens. Well, congratulations on, trying to remedy the situation for the first guest. And obviously, I mean, most people understand, right? Things happen. This is real estate at the end of the day. Just 2 days ago at one of the properties, we had a toilet that on the 4th level of this townhome here in Dallas. Mm-hmm. The top toilet was clogged, right? And so we sent somebody out. They couldn't do it with the plunger, and so we had to send somebody else out to do it like auger, like unclog it with an auger, which is, I guess, a stronger solution. And the guest, we had to accommodate her because she was persistent on asking for a discount, even though there's three and a half other bathrooms in the property. Yeah, she had brought up, it was an inconvenience for my kids to go from that level to the other level to use the bathroom, and so we just did a small 5%, and she was happy.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was also, I was really worried about folks who are guests who are voyeuristic about these things.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen so many horror stories online, and I think that anxiety after launching was like, okay, you also have to protect yourself. As much as you want to cater towards the guest, you also have to word things and do things very specifically so that you can remedy the solution. And I think because I had to cancel that reservation like 2 days before, Airbnb dinged me. So they charged me like over $200, and I lost the revenue that I would have made from that reservation.
Yeah.
But it was something that like I literally couldn't do anything about.
Yeah.
And I still need to like fight with them to get that credit back because the resolution center was also so opaque. And had I been able to like, be in the same time zone as you, I think I definitely would have called you. But
yeah. No, and we can still figure it out. We can figure out a response for that to try to get that reimbursed because that's not cool, especially if you're across the world. You're doing your best you can. You sent the handyman out there 3 times. I mean, what else can you? I mean, it's a remote area in the mountains, so. Yeah,
we couldn't have done anything about it. And what's funny is like my cleaners, after my handyman finally looked at the propane tank, because he was like, the pilot light keeps going off. So only other reason is there's not enough gas. So he's like, let me check the gas. He's like, oh, it's empty. Then I think like 2 weeks later, the cleaner came. And she was like, or maybe a week later, she was like, yeah, so just to let you know, your gas tank is very, very low. And I was like, what made her look at the gas tank? And then why didn't she catch it earlier before it was empty?
Yeah.
So, there was ways that we could have remedied it had I known better. And then as a new property owner in a rural area, I just never thought, like, you see a big propane tank and you get the notes from the seller that there's still leftover propane And so you're like, oh, there's enough, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then who would think that in the winter, while the guest is there, that's the moment I'm going to run out of gas.
Something happens. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, but you handled it well, I think, for sure.
Yeah.
The best you can. Send somebody out there 3 times. I mean, you're super communicative across the world. So, I mean, that's really all you can do,
Yeah. I was just praying, like, if I get 4 stars or 3 stars, it'll just work out. Like, overall, it'll work out. Don't worry. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
But, I did leave a sticker on my fridge that said, like, hotel 5-star reviews are very different from Airbnb 5-star reviews, and the ratings are very different. So this is how it works. And I think that's helped, like, a lot of my guests really understand the process.
Yeah, exactly. That's your business. That's your livelihood. You're heavily invested there. So let's even talk about that. Let's rewind a little bit. So, like, you found this amazing. So we pretty much like honed in on Oakhurst, right? Mm-hmm. That area, Yosemite. It was a great opportunity with the property. So, what are some things that you saw on the property that had potential? What are some of the things that you worked on with the contractors as you guys were kind of renovating it? And your story is super cool because you brought the consultants out there, the ADA consultants. Can you talk about that, like the potential on the property that you saw, kind of what you did as far as
so
pickleball court?
Exactly. Yeah. So I was looking at a whole bunch of different properties out there. I was really trying to not get super emotionally tied to any property. But once I saw this listing and it had just been listed and I found it on Zillow, I was like, oh my gosh. Just one of the photos was of a flat piece of land with a basketball hoop at the very end. And immediately I saw a vision of the pickleball court. Yeah. And I was like, this is the property that I want. And I was like, don't get too tied up into it. But essentially I was the first person to put the offer in. And because I saw so much potential in like the bones and the landscape of the property. So it's a full acre, just outside of town. So it's about like a 7-minute drive from town. So it's a really good location. It's pretty quiet. There are some Airbnbs, but nothing similar to mine. And the land was already flattened for a pickleball court because I could assume it was at some point maybe a basketball court. I don't know. But after that, I was so excited. I drew up a plan for landscaping. I remember bringing my iPad out there and the landscaper coming out. He's like, oh my gosh, how did you draw this? And I was like, that's where my designer self came in. I was like, oh, I get to do all these creative things now with this property because I own it and I'm not going to do like a long-term rental. I get to like curate it however I want. So then I brought this other concrete guy out there. He was called Marty, the concrete guy, literally. And he was like, if you can dream it, I can build it. And I was like, well, I have big dreams, so I hope you can build it. And he did. And we collaborated on it. We talked about ADA, accessibility, about walkways, about how to create a good experience for someone coming out of a van that had a wheelchair. Like, I was really able to talk to all my contractors and team members to figure out how do we make the best experience for someone who's mobility impaired. And I was very surprised by how many people were so enthusiastic about supporting it. I mean, of course, it's like a good thing to do, but what I love about this space is it also provides like creative problem solving. And then I also brought in a accessibility consultant, flew her in from, I think, Massachusetts, and she is an occupational therapist that works directly with clients to make their homes safer so that they can age in place. I hired her on to come on site, look at everything, like every little inch counted in terms of how we would build the scope of work for the renovation and making it wheelchair accessible. So after a whole week of going through different designs, different layouts, and also looking at sourcing different materials and accessories and hardware that are more friendly for folks with different impairments, whether it be like big mobility impairments like legs, something like your hand dexterity. How do you like pull or open a door using a lever style handle versus a knob? So it just like opened my eyes to so many things. It was super cool. She had never really collaborated on a property that was not meant for one particular client, but it was meant for like a spectrum of different type of guests with different disabilities. It's been a case study. So I'm using this house as a case study to show real estate investors that they can make small little changes to make their homes more accessible. I'm going the extreme route of like I launched it with the small modifications, and then just as of Monday we started renovation for the bathroom. And yeah, super cool. And they pretty much already built the wall. It's only been 3 days. It's crazy. I've never seen contractors work this fast.
Yeah, I remember that's something that we talked about, doing it in phases, because it was, it's a significant investment if you do it all at once. So like, okay, let's get in there, host some guests, get the proof of concept, right? Just get the experience. You're getting really good reviews, and then I think this year you wanted to go ahead and do the next phase of it. So
yeah, and I'm raising money right now for funding the bathroom renovation. I am so excited for relaunching again. So like that was the soft launch, and this is going to be the official launch after the bathroom renovation. The doors are widened. Like it's just going to be so good. I remember a lot of my guests, like I have a doorbell Ring camera, and I get notifications when someone passes through it. And so I've seen my guests check in, and they open the door. The moment they open the door, they're like, wow. Yeah. I'm like, this makes me so happy. And this is like before the renovations, right? Like this was just a result of really good, thoughtful design. So not only is it accessible, but it also like looks really good and feels really good.
That is so cool. Yeah. Because you found an amazing designer too, to work with for that property. And I think they gave you a couple concepts, right? They gave you two design concepts. You guys honed in on one and went that route. And I think it turned out beautifully. So the guests it's so cool when you see their like expression, right?
Yeah. I hear it like, and from different age groups, like people who are older, parents with families, and then like college kids. I was so worried about hosting with college kids, but they were so respectful, and I think they really appreciated the effort that went into the experience. Yeah. And just over and over again, just the word comfortable kept coming into my reviews or in conversations. And that to me was just like, wow, I am helping people create memories. Like that also set into me was like, what a cool privilege to have.
Yeah, it's a blessing. Yeah, I'm sure they're in there taking photos, and they have those photos forever, right? sharing moments with their families and friends, and One thing that the designer did want to do, because I hired Tony J. Robinson's designer, Brianna Michelle, and so it came kind of from this guy on social media and Bigger Pockets and him recommending his designer. So I was like, okay, I'll work with her. She had never done an accessible rental before, so there was some learning curve there. I had to create a guideline for her to think about as she was designing with her team. But one thing that she did recommend was arcade games. And I know that arcade games are like pretty popular now in Airbnbs. Yeah. And the game room experience. But I was like, I'm trying to create like a calming experience. I don't see arcade games as calming. Yeah. And it could be cool for kids, but I was like, it just puts another screen in front of a kid or an adult. Okay. We don't need more screens. So I only have one TV in the whole property, and then I have a huge game table. So it's like a bumper pool table, also poker table. And then I bought a whole bunch of things for people to like actually have family time and sit around there. And what I heard from people's reviews is like that constantly got called out as like the game room area was amazing for our family. Yeah, no, that is awesome. That's the whole reason you want to disconnect to reconnect. You know what I mean? Especially when you're traveling, you're on your phone so much, we're on our laptops for work and stuff so much. So it creates a calming experience. I think you're doing it right. But
I also brought my parents there because it was like the weekend right before the renovations were starting. So I was like, Mom, do you want to come to the property because it's the first, like, you don't have to work on it. I'm not putting you to work like last time. We had to like paint and sand. And so we were able to actually be there. And I was actually able to be there as a guest. Like, of course I did some work because I can't help myself. But I really took the time to take the perspective of a guest in. It was so, so nice. And I really believe that like every Airbnb host should do that for their property as much as they can, right? And just over and over again, my mom just kept saying like, oh, it's so comfortable. It feels really nice. And
yeah, very, very zen, creating a very zen type feel to it. I mean, you're in Yosemite, you're in the mountains. I mean, you want to relax and chill and disconnect. So, oh, that's awesome. So I guess, that's where right now, like hosting and stuff, what were some of the biggest challenges that you faced throughout the process? Because I know there were some things that went on with the contractors and just kind of juggling that, and some bids weren't really official.
I'd gone through a friend who was also investing in the area for recommendations on a realtor and a contractor. The realtor worked out, but the contractor, I think we just didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things. Our working styles were going to be really different. But I got so excited in working with him that I kind of didn't look for any other contractor for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then when we realized that our working styles were not the same and we parted ways, I was left without a contractor and I still needed a lot of work done. So I freaked out, and then I found online this company called BuildZoom, and they basically connect homeowners to contractors and vet them for you for a small fee, and they become like your project managers for the pre-construction process. Okay. So finding a contractor that is licensed, has good reviews, is responsive, has good documentation, especially for a remote renovation, was the most challenging thing. It took me, I think, 3 or 4 months to find the right contractor, which is wild, right? Like you think about holding costs, you think about like all these other costs that go into a property, and you see and you hear people's stories around like flips and they're able to start right away. And I'm like, how are people able to do this? Like you have to find the right team. That was really hard. And then finding good handymen that will show up on time, like get what they need done, and developing relationships with them was also really important. And finding all your, like the plumber, the electrician, the cleaners, like how to vet your cleaners. That was also really hard.
Because at first you were using the neighbor, right? She actually is a housekeeper, Airbnbs, I think, right?
Yeah, that too. Like literally on the day I went to go see the property, I met my neighbor, and she's like, oh, I clean Airbnbs for a living. And I was like, oh my gosh, perfect. You're like literally a couple steps away. And she was like, yeah, this is perfect for me too.
Yeah.
Then we realized like it wasn't the best timing or the best situation. So and then last minute I had to look for a cleaner too.
Yeah.
So I guess my lesson is like just always have backups. Like keep looking for good people.
Yeah. No, 100%. Yeah. I always recommend at least having like two, like two of each, each, handyman or housekeeper or plumber or whoever on the team at all times. So you never know. They may be busy. They may be traveling. They may be out of town, maybe with their families. So.
Yeah. My house cleaner, which I loved, her father suddenly passed away. And so she was like, I can't clean for you.
Yeah.
Like I was like, oh my gosh, who do I get? So it was like, you just never know.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, my housekeeper here in Dallas, her name is Claudia, and her husband is dealing with the Trump stuff now. Literally, he's got his citizenship. Citizenship. Yeah, he's been in the country for 20 years. Literally 20 years. Got approved for citizenship. Yeah, now they have to come up with all this cash. They have a year to do it, and so like they're kind of freaking out. So, that comes along to the business too. Impact business too. Cause now she's having to work like multiple things, and the whole family. He's traveling, and they have kids, and they have a kid with a disability. So you do need backup like team members for sure. Shout out to Claudia. She's been a great asset over the last like 4 to 5 years. So.
Oh my gosh, she sounds like Superwoman.
Yeah, she is. So, okay, I just have a few last questions. What has the payoff been, since investing with us and working with us and getting your property launched? And, what would you say? And kind of like, what are your goals moving forward? Because you have an awesome property now. It's booking up, finishing the renovations, about to do the hard launch here in a minute. So
I think number one was the accountability, like being able to meet with you every week and talk through things. And I feel like half the sessions were about trying to talk me off a ledge of like, it's not that, it's like, we'll figure it out. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. And like, I have the processes to do this. Like I've done it before. And so I could really trust in your systems and your processes and just follow it. So that made it a lot easier. You also had really great suggestions for different problem solving. So like, how about think about it this way? And I remember you saying, why don't you launch first and then do the renovation? And at first I remember being like, no, absolutely not. I need to be all accessibility.
Yeah.
And if you hadn't brought up that idea, it would have never come into mind on my own. And I would have just pushed through and probably missed the mark on being able to use the property as a write-off for the bonus depreciation for 2024. And that would have cost me thousands, tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So just having you with your expertise, also with your contacts with Dre and that team, business funding was also really difficult, a huge challenge. Yeah, it was super helpful. And then even talking to the attorney, talking things through about business structures. Like there's so many different aspects to think about. And you always have someone be like, oh yeah, I talked to someone about this before. And I have this guy, I have this person. And like, let's figure it out. Let's jump on the phone. So yeah, it's just so valuable.
Yeah, thank you. And I feel like even with you, I feel like your confidence has grown like so much through the process. When we met last year, you know, unsure of the market and maybe here, and then you just like, you got on it. You know, you started like working with contractors and this and that, and just getting out of business essentially, you know. Mm-hmm. And now, yeah, I'm super proud of you just seeing your growth through the last year. It's been awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. No, for sure. And so now about to relaunch and then, you know, build out the ADA brand. What's your brand? Where can people find you?
Yeah, so my company is called Thriveway Stays. I'm still working on the Instagram account, still developing it, but you can visit the property listing at bit.ly/Pamela with a capital P, Way, WAY with a capital W. And that's my listing. My Instagram is alexyee.ventures. There you can find all the updates and then things about my life. And I also have a newsletter that you can sign up for, which I have tons of nitty-gritty details about the whole process, as well as hopefully some hot tips and advice and learnings from my experience.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that newsletter's so cool because I see the emails when they come through. I think you were on the top listing in the area pretty much, or it was, you know, top rated like Airbnb listing in Oakhurst. So that is awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So, okay. So anyone that's on the fence about like joining my program or working one-to-one, or maybe that hasn't actually ever, you know, sourced or spoke to a coach or mentor, like what would you tell them? You know, what would you tell them about working together and joining the program? If
you actually want to start an Airbnb business, you almost can't afford to not have a mentor. You're just like, financially, you're just gonna make so many mistakes along the way. And yes, you can learn yourself the hard way, but why do that if Josh is here to teach you, right? Like it's like having access to you, to the community that you're building, and to all of like your years of experience is gonna get you so much further and faster than you could do it on your own or with a mentor that hasn't been in the industry as long, right? A lot of it is about the wisdom that comes from running an Airbnb business over a course of years or over different economic cycles and different seasons of life, right? Like you ran this before COVID, you saw it through COVID, and after, like you have so much experience about this that you can speak through, and helping so many other clients as well and be able to learn from their experiences, I think was so valuable. So yeah, I almost feel like I'd highly recommend working with Josh and his team. And yeah, his like, it's weird. I'm like, his or your or like access to you is so valuable, and I'm so thankful that we get to keep talking.
Yeah. No, well, thanks so much, Alex. Yeah, it's been a pleasure working together, just seeing your growth and seeing like literally take an idea and a concept and like turning it into an Airbnb business and hosting guests and making money and getting 5-star reviews, and then just to see what you're going to build from here. It's going to be amazing to watch. So for anyone watching that's been on the fence about joining my program or getting your coach, we do have an Airbnb coaching program. You can actually click the link down below in the video if you want to set up a call with me or my team members. So go ahead and click the link down below, and we'll talk soon.